अस्सलाम वालेकुम एवरीवन। क्या हाल है आप लोगों के? Yes, Ryan, 18 minutes and 17 seconds is the correct answer. Good job, Ryan. Good job, Alisa. And good job, man. वैसे the correct answer is 18 and 17. It's not 18-16, it's 18-17. You guys probably made a rounding off error or something. खैर, anyway. क्या हाल है आप लोगों के? How has the past 2-3 days impacted your life? This is live. This is live. It's not pre-recorded. Does it look pre-recorded? कर रहे हैं start. Let's just catch up a little. It's been a while. Maths paper 1 was too easy. Will paper 1 be tough? I don't know. But at least we can have an idea. We can anticipate the topics that are gonna come in paper 2. I'm gonna make a video on it, inshallah, today. I'll tell you guys what you need to focus on. It's not a guest paper video, but I'll just tell you guys the main topics that you should be focusing on. Sir, what to do? My P1 was not good. Okay, so if paper 1 was not good, you can still make up for it. Okay, so the good thing is the good or bad depends on how you look at it. Depends on more on what kind of situation you're in. You have 50% weightage of both the papers. So if you mess up in paper 1, you can do well in paper 2 and make up for it. Sadly, if you do well in paper 1 and well, now comes the sadly part, and sadly if you mess up in paper 2, then your grade can be compromised. Okay, so yeah. Do you have a website for AdMath worksheets? No. Whatever topical past papers that I give for AdMaths, I mean whatever worksheets I give for AdMath, they're attached with the description in the live stream. But since this is a yearly, for this I haven't, because this is a yearly past paper. But yeah, to answer your question, I don't have a website for AdMath material. Will you upload the live? Okay, this live I won't upload because I haven't decided yet, because I still haven't received any guidelines from Cambridge as to what I can live stream and what I can't. And as you guys know, they have taken down the strike, for which I owe you guys, of course, for emailing them. But they haven't provided clear guidelines yet. So मैं सोच रहा हूँ live stream जितने भी yearly papers हैं उनकी live stream मैं save ना करूँ, उनको हटा दूँ. Walaikum salam. We are rounding off the seconds, right? Yes, we're rounding off the seconds. That's how you get 18-17. How maths D paper 1 grade threshold will increase? Well, from what I've seen, it was a fairly easy paper. So I'm expecting the threshold is going to be above average. I'm not saying it's going to be like insanely high, but you can expect it to be above average. Yeah, Shahid, I'll make a video on it. Don't worry. I'll make a video on it. Sir, one question. Is there any possibility of any rotation coming? So I understand there was a question on rotation. I don't think there will be another question on rotation. But still, don't just let go of it completely. I personally don't think they'll give you another question on rotation. But like I said, don't just let go of it completely. Just prepare for it anyway. Yes, it has improved. Rayanul Islam, thank you for asking. It has improved slightly, although YouTube is still banned. But yeah, overall it's improved, alhamdulillah. Okay, so I'd appreciate if you guys would just like the stream, and let's start. Okay. So as you guys know, we are solving May-June 2021, paper 2, variant 2. Now a bit of history about this paper. This is a paper that was originally supposed to happen, but it got cancelled. So no student in Pakistan actually sat for this paper. They had a different paper that they sat for, because then the mini series was announced and then they gave a different paper, which was very difficult. The code for that was 3171. I have that solved on a live stream. I did that last year, so you guys can check it out if you want. So anyway, so let's make a habit of scanning the paper. So that's what I'm going to do. The first 4-5 minutes, I'll just take some time out and get an idea of what's in this question paper. Okay. So here's the first question. This is everyday math. So I'll just write that down. This is everyday math. And I'd like you guys to make this habit as well. And then we have statistics. Now, my understanding is that you guys have already been tested on this, on correlation, but we'll do it anyway, no issues. And then you have some basic algebra. So let's write that down. Then you have some statistics again, but a different type of statistics, mean, median, mode basically. Then you have sets and Venn diagram. Again, this is also something you've been tested on, but we'll do it anyway. Okay. Then this is a bit of graphs of functions. It's not your usual graphs of functions. It's a bit of coordinate geometry, a bit of graphs of functions, but it's more inclined towards coordinate geometry. Now again, coordinate geometry, I know, is something you guys have been tested on. And then you have trigonometry. Yep. So further trig basically. We'll just call it trigonometry. Okay. So what if it's further trig? It's trigonometry nonetheless. Then you have functions. Was there a question on functions in paper 1? I don't remember anyone mentioning about it. Then you have mensuration. No surprise there. You can expect mensuration to come in paper 2. Angle properties of circles, and I think angle properties of circles is also not tested. Was also not tested in paper 1. Then you have probability, which was tested, but we're going to do it anyway. And then we have vectors, not tested, so you can expect it in paper 2. And yeah, that's it. Okay, great. So let's start with the first question, everyday math. It's a fairly easy question. Let's see what it says. Okay, functions was there. Acha, ठीक है. So we'll, like I said, we're gonna do it anyway. Okay. Now, So the first question says, in the price of an electric drill is $78 in a sale, the price is reduced by 15%, calculate the sale price. So 2 easy marks. Okay, you should make sure that you're confident about these questions that you're solving. And these are marks gaining questions basically. So we make a column for percentage. There's a standard way of solving questions like these. So the price is reduced by 15%, and you have to calculate the sale price as well. That means you have to calculate the price after reduction. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. 100% is equals to 78. Why? Because this is the price before reduction. If something has been reduced by 15%, that means it's now 80% of the original amount. Okay, cross multiply. So x is equals to 85 times 78 upon 100. Now because calculator is allowed, so nothing to worry about. 85 into 78 divided by 100. So we have 66.3. So there you go, $66.3, the answer to part A. Okay, now part B. Part B says the exchange rate between dollars and euros is $1 equal to 0.85 euros. Michael changes 100 euros. He buys a clock costing 58.99. Okay, he changes the remaining money back to dollars. Calculate the amount in dollars he has left. Okay, so basically there's a story element to this question. If you think about it, all you have to do is you have to first convert $100 to euros, and then from it subtract 58.99 and convert it back to dollars. Okay, but they've added sort of like a little story to make it slightly more complex. So we make a column for dollars, and then we make another column for euros. So $1 is equals to what? Is equals to 0.85 euros. He is converting $100 into euros. So if you cross multiply, you will know that you have a total of 85 euros now. Okay. I always have trouble making the euro sign. Yeah, I hope that's correct now. Okay, now from these 85 euros, he's spending 58.99 to buy a clock. So let's subtract 58.99 from 85.00. So use a calculator for this. Please note that when a calculator is allowed, no point in not using it. Okay, so you're not doing anything brave by not using a calculator. Just use it and make sure that your answer is correct. So 26.01 is the amount that he has left, which he's going to convert back into dollars. Now, sometimes what happens in the question is that this usually happens in like questions where someone is going on vacation. So by the time that they're coming back from vacation, the exchange rate is slightly different. So in that case, just remember to read the question carefully and see what the new exchange rate is. So $1 equals to 0.85 euros. He has 26.01 euros to convert to dollars. So you write x over here, cross multiply. X is equals to 26.01 divided by 0.85. Let's see what we get. So we get 30.6. Now again, make sure that you read the question carefully. Sometimes the question will ask you to give your answer correct to the nearest dollar or anything like that. Okay, so nothing of that sort is asked over here, so we're good. Okay, now sir, make a Zoom meeting and we can join discussing the past papers. Better, we're doing exactly that over here, so nothing to worry about. Okay, let's move on. Are 9 past papers enough for? Yeah, if you've been getting a good score, then honestly the number of years is irrelevant. If you're getting a good score, then yeah, you're fine. Yes, I saw the solutions of paper 1. I think the only thing that was completely out, not exactly out of syllabus, but like that sort of came out of nowhere was the planes of symmetry. Other than that, I didn't think there weren't any surprises in the paper. And plane of symmetry, the last time I think it was tested was way back in 2006 or 7. I remember there was a question. I remember coming across a question in topical past papers, but usse pehle to I haven't seen questions related to plane of symmetry. But it wasn't any different than normal symmetry. You just need to imagine the shape in 3D and just if it's a prism, then you add one more one more plane of symmetry basically. Yeah, the correct answer was 2. The correct answer to that was 2. W also वो जो वेरिएशन वाले क्वेश्चन की आप बात करें ईमान, वो भी इतना रेयर नहीं था. Yes, it was not, but it was definitely not as rare as plane symmetry. Yeah, the correct answer was 2. Okay, now what about that LCM HCF question? Were you guys able to do that? No, it wasn't 4. I'm afraid it was 2. This is why you guys shouldn't discuss the paper. Okay. Anyway, now here's a question. It says, so there are 2 people over here. Let's call them P and E. Okay. So P invests $3,500 in A's simple account for 4 years. And then E invests $3,500 in the cool compound account for 4 years. Okay, so they're both investing the same amount of money for the same number of years. It's just that the type of accounts that they're investing in is different. Okay, so let's look at A simple. So A simple is actually quite simple. It's simple interest at 2.1% per year. So let's see how much interest he earns in 4 years. Yeah, I think HCF LCM was, honestly speaking, LCM HCF question wasn't that challenging. You just had to remember the basic rules that when you're taking the LCM, you look for the higher power. When you're taking the HCF, you're looking for the lower power. But the fact that the power was in terms of n, I think that is what made it slightly challenging. But overall, I think there have been like more difficult questions of LCM HCF in the past. So compared to those questions, that was a pretty easy one. Anyway. 3,500 into 2.1 into 4 divided by 100. So what do you get? You get 294. Okay. Now 294 is the simple interest that he's earned, that P has earned. So that means the total amount that he has in his account is basically equal to 3,500 plus 294. So in it, you add 3,500. What do you get? You get 3,794. Okay. Now we'll leave this over here because at the end, 3,794. In the end, we're supposed to write down that who has more money and by how much. That's what we're supposed to write down. Okay. Now let's talk about E. So E, on the other hand, invests 3,500 in the cool compound account for 4 years. So this is compound interest. Now the formula that we use for compound interest is this. Now I think there was a question on compound interest also. Was it compound or was it simple interest? I think it was compound as far as I remember. So the good thing about the formula for compound interest is that it gives us the final answer. So into 102, okay, upon 100. Why 102? Because the rate is 2 to the power of 4. So let's figure this out. So the total that you get approximately is going to be 3,500 into 1.02 to the power of 4. So we have 3,788.51. Remember, any dollar value is always taken correct to 2 decimal places, okay? Now then what do? We can clearly see that this guy has more than this guy, okay? So what are we supposed to write? We're supposed to write at the end of 4 years, who has more money in their account and by how much. So who has more money? We can see that Pietro, however you pronounce the name, Pietro, has more money. And by how much? So let's figure that out. 3,794 में से subtract करते हैं 3,788.51. That will tell us the difference. 3794 minus answer. So it's 5.4874. So since it's a dollar value, this will be given correct to 2 decimal places. So 5.49 is your answer. And there you go. That's it. That's your answer. Simple. Okay, simple था ठीक है सही है. Sir, please tell if I get 68 to 70 in P1, what should I target in P2? So around 80, 85. 85 to be on the safe side. Yeah. Yeah, I heard there was a 5-mark question on perpendicular bisector also. I shall make a video on it. I do plan on making a video on it. Okay, a lot of students have asked. I planned on making it sooner, but you know what happened. So I kind of lost track. But now things are coming back to normal. So inshallah, you can expect the video to be out by today latest or by tomorrow latest. If not tomorrow, then tonight. Okay, tonight or tomorrow latest, basically. All right, so here's another question. This is statistics. Again, fairly easy. Let's see what it says. Well, you can expect a question on correlation to be easy anyway. So the table shows the midday temperature and the number of cups of hot chocolate. Natcha. Okay, so let's call it N. N cells on each of 10 days. ठीक है. Complete the scatter diagram. The first 5 points have been plotted for you. Okay, so again, very predictable. 21 and 8. So let's write that down. 21. Again, let's get familiar with the scale first. So on the x-axis, if you leave 2 boxes, you have 1 unit, and the same applies to the y-axis also. Okay, so now it's going to be easier for us to mark the values. 21 पे जो corresponding value है वो है 8. So 21, 8, let's mark that. So here's 21, here's 10, 2 boxes below 10 will be 9, and another 2 boxes below 9 would be 8. So there you go. Here's 1 cross, and then you have 6, 17. So 6 and 17. 6 will be 2 boxes after 5. 17 would be 4 boxes above 15. So there you go. Now I'm going to erase these lines at the end. I'm just making these lines so I don't end up making a marking error or something like that. And then you have 5 and 21. So here's 20, and then 2 boxes above is 21. So there you go. Okay, then you have 12 and 16. So 12 would be 4 boxes on the right of 10. 16 would be 2 boxes above 15. So, oopsie, there you go. Then last, which is 23, 6. So 23 is going to be over here, and 6. So 6 will be 2 boxes above 5. There you go. Okay, so now I'm going to erase these lines. There you go. Okay. Next is that we're going to make a line of best fit. Now, ideal line of best fit is a line that passes through the center. Okay, that means the number of points lying above is equal to the number of points lying below. Now, let's do a bit of trial and error. Let's see if we can use this line. So if we take this line, then let's see what are the number of points lying above. 1, 2, 3, 4. What are the number of points lying below? Yep, so there you go. We're not going to count the points through which the line is passing. We're going to count the number of points that are above the line. So I'm going to highlight them using the color green. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. You don't have to do that, but just for your understanding. And then just like that, if you count the number of points lying below the line, so that's 4 as well. So that means our line of best fit is correct. Okay, this is like the ideal line of best fit. Okay, if the difference is of 1 point, then that's fine. Okay, if let's say you have one more point lying on either side of the line compared to the other, that's also perfectly all right. So it says here, describe the relationship between the midday temperature and the number of cups of hot chocolate that N sells. Okay, so how would you guys describe the relationship? That's fine. If you've written positive, that's fine. Yeah, add math does make math easy. In a few topics, it does give you an edge, like coordinate geometry, indices. It does give you an edge, and a couple more. Negative correlation, that's correct. Negative correlation is the correct answer. So let's write that down, that this is a negative correlation. Is that how you spell correlation? Khair. Acha, by the way, since we're supposed to describe the relationship, so negative correlation is not going to cut it. Okay, so let's elaborate it further, that the number of hot chocolate cups sold decreases as the temperature rises. Decreases as the temperature rises. Temperature. Okay, then it says, by drawing a line of best fit, estimate the number of cups of hot chocolate sold when the midday temperature is 17 degrees Celsius. Okay, so this is a 2-mark question. That means 1 mark you get for making the correct line of best fit, and the other mark you get for finding out the correct value. So 17 degrees Celsius is going to be, so this is 17.5 because it's in between 15 and 20. So here is 17 degrees Celsius. Now let's see what the corresponding value is. Now because we're talking about number of cups of hot chocolate, so it has to be an integer value, and since this is closer to 11, so we're gonna go with 11. Okay, so there you go. Here's the answer, 11. Pretty easy. Okay, now algebra. You can expect a question on algebra in paper 2. In fact, you can also expect a question that leads to an algebra question leading to quadratic equations. So, basically word problems that lead to quadratic equation, you can expect that as well. So you don't need to write down weak, negative, or anything of that sort. Okay, there's no need to do that. Bearings. Didn't I do a stream on bearings recently? What is it? I think I did a stream on bearings recently. Okay, maybe I didn't. Maybe I planned on doing it. Okay, I will do that. Okay, I plan on doing a stream on trigonometry, further trigonometry, so don't worry about it. My line of best fit would have been so different. That's fine, as long as the line of best fits is a true representation of the relationship, that's fine. And as long as the number of points lying above are equal to the number of points lying below, that's good enough. Okay. I did? Okay. Khair. Anyway, so do question number 3. Sir, that auto basically that's not supposed to happen. My camera, I don't know, my camera ka AI thoda farig ho gaya. I think I need to update it, or maybe I need to sit still. Sir, quadratic equation ka word problem ki stream kar dein. Okay. Acha, are you guys solving this, by the way? Can you guys do 3-part A, B, and C? Okay, I don't know much about further maths, honestly. I have seen students get good grades in it, but other than that, I don't know. Thank you. Okay, can I have the answer to 3 part A? November 30th. It's that old? Acha, I don't know why. I thought I maybe did it recently. 19 years of past papers? Where did you find the time to do that? M equals to 18. Okay, I think that's correct. And 5B minus 3A. So basically 4A minus 7A is going to be minus 3A. And minus 6B plus 6, minus B plus 6B is going to be plus 5B. Okay, there you go. And then part B, in part B you have m upon 2, which is equal to, now please don't multiply 2 without taking 4 over to the other side, okay, or without taking the LCM. I wouldn't suggest that you take the LCM. Not that you're not going to get the correct answer, but it's much easier to do this without taking the LCM. So m is equals to 9 times 2, which is equal to 18. There you go. Then it says rearrange to make t the subject. Okay, so you cross multiply, so 3u is equals to t plus 4. So 3u minus 4 is equals to t. So at this point, the examiner is just giving away free marks. So maybe that means the paper is entirely easy, or maybe that means okay, this is just the calm before the storm. Okay, so let's find out what's next. So this becomes 6y cubed plus 15y. And there you go. 6y cubed plus 15y. This paper is quite easy, to be honest. Okay, maybe you're right. I haven't seen the threshold. Let's see. Now here's question number 4. Let's see what it says. So it says 100 adults were surveyed about the number of emails they received. They each received one day. Okay, the table shows the results. All right. Find the mode. All right. Now, is the mode going to be 28? Will 28 be the mode? Yes, and if yes, then okay, and if not, then why not? Is attempting October-November maths exam a good idea? You mean like solving the October-November past paper? Then yeah, definitely solving any past paper is a good idea. Okay, as long as it's not like extremely old, because then the syllabus would have changed. Okay, 4 is the mode. Okay, so I've seen a lot of students make this mistake that they get excited as soon as they find the highest value and then they write 28. So 28 is not the correct answer. It is whatever the frequency, it's basically 28 जिसकी भी frequency है वो आपका mode है. Okay, whatever number of emails 28 is the frequency of, that is your mode. Then you have to calculate the mean. So in this case, the formula that we're going to use is this, sigma fx over sigma f. So f is basically the number of adults, and since we are measuring the number of emails, so the number of emails is x over here. Okay. No, I mean giving CI's exam. Yeah, I mean if you haven't registered yet and you're planning on giving it in October, November, it depends on your preparation. I mean, I really can't say. There's nothing wrong in giving it in October, November, so it depends on your preparation. So 8 into 1 plus 10 into 2 plus 22 into 3 plus 28 into 4 plus 15 into 5 plus 9 into 6 plus 5 into 7 plus 3 into 8. Now my advice is to do this directly in your calculator. Okay, no point in breaking this down and then figuring it out. And then also don't forget to divide it by the total frequency, which is 100. Okay, so I'm just going to write down the final answer over here to save some time. 3.94. Yeah, there you go. 3.94. Okay, part C, probability. Find the probability that they received. Acha, so before that, it says here that one of these students is chosen at random. Find the probability that they received fewer than 4. Okay, fewer than 4 emails that day. Give your answer as a fraction in its simplest form. So fewer than 4 may, that means fewer than 4 could be 1, could be 2, could be 3. Okay, can't be more than that. So that means we're going to see what the frequency of 1 is. So the frequency of 1 is 8, the frequency of 2 is 10, and the frequency of 3 is 22. So that means all these three frequencies are now our favorable outcomes. So 8 plus 10 plus 22. And because we're selecting from the entire set of adults, which is 100, so we divide it by 100. So let's see what this is equal to. This is equal to 40 upon 100, which you can simplify using, well, first you cross out the 0 and then you simplify using 2. So 2 upon 5 is the correct answer. There you go. Then part D, which says the town has 18,000 adults. Use the survey to estimate the number of adults in the town who received exactly 5 emails that day. अब देखो हमारे पास जो इन्फॉर्मेशन है वो 100 की है. अब हमें इसी 100 को यूज़ करके बताना है कि अगर 18,000 होंगे तो उनको कितने ईमेल्स आएंगे. सो बेसिकली ओवर हियर या ऐसे कितने होंगे जिनको आउट ऑफ 18,000 ऐसे कितने एडल्ट्स होंगे जिनको 5 emails आएंगे. सो ओवर हियर यू हैव 15 such adults who receive 5 emails. Okay, 15 adults, basically 15 out of 100 receive 5 emails. Okay, now using this information, 100 में ऐसे कितने who receive 5 emails, who receive 5 emails, that's 15. So 18,000 में कितने होंगे, x cross multiply, and that's it, get your answer. It's a bit like relative frequency. So x is equals to 15 into 18,000 divide by 100. So 15 divided by 100 into 18,000. So your answer is 2,700. So 2,700 is the correct answer. Okay, now sir, there's a chance for every topic. Of course you have to show the working. Okay, if you're talking about this, then for this you don't have to show the working. The max you can do is you can write down the total, which you'll have to figure out anyway before you divide by 100. Okay, now you don't have to individually break this down. Okay, 8 into 1, 10 into 2 kiske barabar hai. That's not necessary. Okay, now question number 5. This is sets and Venn diagram. So what is the region that's shaded over here? It's everything that's outside of set A and set B. So it's basically A union B whole complement. A union B whole complement. Okay, then it says, okay, then you have certain information and you have to use this information to complete the Venn diagram. So let's start with the universal set. In the universal set you have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, then in set P you have x, which is a factor of 36. Okay, so let's write down all the factors of 36. So 2 is a factor of 36, 3 is a factor of 36, 4 is a factor of 36, 6 is a factor of 36, 9 is a factor of 36, and 12 is a factor of 36. Okay, factor basically means all the numbers that come in the table of 30, all the numbers that 36 can be divided by. Okay, so 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, and 12. And then Q is such that it's a multiple of 4, so that means you will have 4, 8, and 12. And as far as R is concerned, R is x such that x is greater than or equal to 3, lesser than or equal to 6. So that means 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, now, so it's always a good idea, since we have 3 sets, it's always a good idea to look for what's common in all 3. Now, as far as I can tell, 6 is what's common in all 3. In fact, no, it's not 6. It is 4. Yeah, so 4 is what's common in all 3, because 4 is a factor of 36. It's a multiple of 4, and it's in between 3 and 6 as well. Okay, so here you go. You write 4. Now let's see what's common in P and Q. So what's common in P and Q is 12. And yeah, I think that's it. So what's common in P and Q is 12. Let me see if there's anything else. No, there's nothing else. Okay. Okay, then let's see what's common in, yeah, ek kaam karte hain. Let's see what's common in P and R. Let's have a look at that. So let's compare set P and set R. So 3 is common, 4 is common. So 4 we've already considered. Okay, and 6 is also common. So 3, 4, and 6. 4 has already been considered, so that means we're just going to write 3 and 6. Okay, now we can fill up the remaining elements of set P. So let's see what we have considered and what we haven't considered. So 2 hasn't been considered, 3 has been considered, 4 has been considered, 6 has been considered, 9 hasn't been considered. So yeah, there you go. There's no need to write a comma, so I'll just write 2 9 separately over here. Okay, then let's talk about Q. Now, before we talk about set Q, let's see what's common in between Q and R. So we have set Q over here and we have set R over here. So there's nothing common in between Q and R other than the 4 that we've already considered. So basically there's nothing common in between. There are no elements in the region Q and R only. बस Q का एक element है 8, वो रह गया लिखना, वो हमने लिख दिया. Now let's talk about R. So we've already considered 3, 4, and 6 from set R. The only thing that's left is 5. Now at this point, don't get carried away and move on to the next part. Remember, there will be some elements that will be outside of set P, Q, and R. So what we can do is we can start crossing out from the universal set all the numbers that we have considered. So we've considered 2, we've considered 3, 4. 5 hasn't been considered anyway. Yeah, 5 has been considered. Okay, 5 has been considered, 6 has been considered. 7 kahin pe nahi aaya, so let's write down 7. 8 आ चुका है, 9 आ चुका है, 10 कहीं पे नहीं आया, so let's write down 10. Okay, 11 कहीं पे नहीं आया, so let's write down 11 somewhere over here, and 12 has been considered, so yeah, there you go. 7, 10, 11, these are the 3 elements that will be inside the universal set, but not in P, not in Q, and not in R. Okay, now I hope that's clear. Then it says list the elements of P intersection Q union R whole complement. Okay, so Q union R whole complement basically means outside of Q and outside of R. Okay, but P intersection basically means inside of set P. So what does that mean? That means 2, 9. I'll repeat. Now you do this using the numbering method that I've explained. Q union R basically means 12, 8, 4, 3, 5, 6. Okay, but if you complement it, that means everything outside of set Q. So that would leave you with 2, 9, 7, 10, 11. And then if you see what's common between the elements of Q union R whole complement and set P, you'll notice that it's just 2, 9. So there you go. Then it says find the number of elements in P union Q. Okay. So when we're talking about number of elements, we're counting them. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So there you go. How many elements do we have that are common? It's 7. Then it says use set notation to complete the statement. We need to identify a region which has no elements. Okay, so we need to identify a region that has no elements. Region with no elements. Now let's see what region is that. That is this region. Now if you look at this region is basically, it's not Q intersection R, because had it been Q intersection R, then we would have had this part as well. So what's been done is that P has been included. The intersection part with P has been excluded. So how do you do that? You do intersection P complement. Now I know you guys might have this question that do we have to make a bracket? No, you don't. Even if you don't make a bracket, you'll get away with it. Like, and for your own understanding, it's best that you make a bracket. So Q intersection R intersection P complement. Please union na karna. Union karne ka matlab hai ki then you will have everything outside of set P. That means this part of set Q will also be considered and this part of set R will also be considered. Okay, now are usually for your okay Venn diagram. I have done a stream on Venn diagram. I have done a stream recently on Venn diagram, so let me know if you've seen that. I've solved a lot of word problems. Walaikum salam. अब आगे पेपर मुश्किल होगा. All right, let's find out. Were you guys tested on sets and Venn diagram? I remember there was a question on sets and Venn diagram in paper 1. Okay, now here's question number 6. Question 6 says that PQR is an isosceles triangle with PR equals to QR. Okay. Then P is the point 1 comma 5 and Q is the point 5 comma 1. Okay, so let's mark that. Angle ARQ is not a right angle. Okay. And then it says find the coordinates for one possible position of R. Okay, so now I'm starting to remember this paper. This is basically a tricky question, and I think this was the only tricky question in this paper. Okay, I don't think there was any other tricky question, but let's see. I could be wrong. Let's find out. Let's do it step by step and see how we can do this. So P is a point 1 comma 5. So first thing that we should do is we should number the grid. 1 2 3 4 5 6, and this question, honestly speaking, is pretty much impossible without the help of this grid over here. Okay, so 1 comma 5 is going to be over here, that's P, and Q is the point 5 comma 1, which is going to be over here, so that's point Q. Okay, now PRQ is basically PR equals to QR, and PQR is an isosceles triangle. अब देखो पहले तो एक काम करते हैं, let's join P and Q. Okay, now if you know the concept of perpendicular bisector really well, then this question is going to be a piece of cake. But if you don't know the concept of perpendicular bisector that well, then also this question will, well, with a bit of trial and error, you should be able to do it. Okay. So basically, here's what we have to do. We have to find a possible position of R such that the triangle that we get as a result, triangle PRQ, turns out to be an isosceles triangle. Okay. Now, one possibility is this. Okay, is that you place point R over here. Okay, and in that case, this is what happens. Now, before you guys start attacking me, okay, this is not the correct answer. I know this is not the correct answer. 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4. Okay, yeah. So this is an isosceles triangle, but the thing is, we can't have R over here. Okay, so if you're thinking that we can mark R as 5 comma 5, then you're wrong. Okay, why you're wrong? Because the question says that angle PRQ is not a right angle. Okay, so question ने categorically ये चीज़ बोल दिया, so that means now this is out of the question. Or if you were thinking that we can mark R over here and then form a triangle, then also you're wrong, because again, for the same reason, PRQ is not a right angle. Okay, now if this is wrong, then what do we do? Now, like I said abhi थोड़ी देर पहले, that if you understand the concept of perpendicular bisector, then this question is going to be a piece of cake for you. Why? Because we have to place R in such a way that it's equidistant from P and Q. Okay, and also the fact that it has to be a triangle. So if you remember, perpendicular bisector is basically a line that passes through the midpoint and is perpendicular to it. So you know what? You can have R anywhere on this line, and if you have R anywhere on this line, what will happen is, because this line is basically the perpendicular bisector of PQ, this line is basically the perpendicular bisector of PQ, so naturally whatever point that you have on the line will be equidistant from P and Q. So let's say we take this to be the possible position of R. So you know what happens then? Then this is the triangle that you get as a result, and notice PR and RQ, they're both equal, and the triangle consequently that we have is an isosceles triangle. And just like that, let's say that you take this to be a possible position of R. Then also what happens? PRQ turns out to be a triangle. It's not a right angle triangle, but R is equidistant from P and Q. That means PR is the same length as QR. So there you go. You can write one possible answer is 4 4. So that's the one that I'm going to go with. But remember, 4 4 is not the only possible answer. You can have 4 comma 4. You can have 6 comma 6. Okay. You can have 7 comma 7 also. Okay, there's no limit to it, honestly. And you can also have 2 comma 2. You can also have 1. No, you can't have 1 comma 1, but you can have 0 comma 0 as well. Okay, so ये सब चलेगा. The only 2 points that are not going to work are 5 comma 5 and 1 comma 1. Okay, why? Because these 2 points make the triangle PRQ a right angled triangle. So there you go. That's your answer. Yeah, in fact, 4.5 and there's no reason why 4.5 and 4.5 will not work. Okay, 4.5 and 4.5 will also work. Okay, because the question doesn't say anywhere that the points have to be with integer coordinates. Yeah, it doesn't say that. अच्छा, अब यहाँ पे एक सवाल आया था कि Why perpendicular bisector? Okay, so like I said, if you have a good understanding of perpendicular bisector, then this question will not be a problem. Why? Because perpendicular bisector is basically a line. So perpendicular bisector is drawn of 2 points. Okay, now the perpendicular bisector of those 2 points is a line where every point on the perpendicular bisector is equidistant from the 2 points. Okay, so this line that you're looking at, this red line, in fact, let me change the color because there are way too many red lines already. So this green line that you're looking at, this green line is basically the perpendicular bisector of PQ, and any point on this line will be the same length from P as it is from Q. Okay, so you just have to make sure that the point that you choose does not make it a right angle triangle. That's the only thing you have to worry about. Everything else is pretty acceptable. Everything else is fine. इसको perpendicular bisector नहीं आता, like I said, with a bit of trial and error, you can, mark a point, see how far it is away, see how far it is from P and Q. Okay, and you can use your scale to measure the distance and see what point gives you the exact same distance. वैसे yeah, that's a good answer कि perpendicular bisector नहीं आता तो सीख लो, ठीक है. It's a very simple concept, and you should know it's not a concept that you shouldn't know. It's a concept that you should know anyway. Okay, now part B. Part B says here are the equation of 5 curves: y equals to 2 minus x squared, y equals to x cubed minus 2, y is equals to x squared plus 2x, y equals to x cubed minus 3x, and y is equals to x squared minus 3x. Okay, now all these equations are very similar to one another. Okay, and these graphs also, well, not all these graphs are similar to one another. So basically, one thing that we can say for sure is that the first graph has to do something with x squared. Yes, Kinza, 7 comma 7 will also work. Okay, 7 comma 7 will also work. And for the next one has to do something with minus x squared. Okay, and then this one has to do something with x cubed. Okay, now this is x squared, so that means whatever this graph is should have the coefficient of x squared as positive. Okay, now also another thing to note about the first graph is that the x-intercepts are 0 and the other has to be a positive value. Okay, it has to be a positive value. So let's find out the x-intercepts one by one. अब ये तो नहीं हो सकता, ठीक है, पहले वाले का तो नहीं हो सकता. इसके अगर हम x-intercepts निकालें, so I'm going to use a calculator over here to save some time. It's a paper 2 question, so why not? So if you find out the x-intercepts of this equation, 1, 2 and minus 8. So you will get x equals to 2 and you will get x equals to minus 4. So clearly this is not possible. Why? Because we're looking for x-intercepts such that one is 0 and the other is positive. Now it can be anything. Okay, it can be 2, 3, 4, whatever. And then if you find out the x-intercept using this equation, so here you will get two x-intercepts. One would be 0 and the other would be 3. Why? Because if you take x common, you have x into x minus 3, y equal to, so x equals to 0 or x equals to 3. So that means the equation of this graph is y equals to x square minus 3x. Okay, remember to always write down the original form. Okay, अब ये हो गया, इसको cross कर देते हैं. We don't need this anymore. Let's focus on the others. And we can also cross this out because there is no curve over here that has x-intercepts 2 and minus 4. There is no minimum curve over here that has x-intercepts 2 and minus 4. Okay. Yes, easy way is you can use a y-intercept as well. Okay, that's also perfectly all right. Then if you look at this, if you look at the first one, we're talking about a maximum curve. We're talking about a sad face with y-intercept as positive 2. Now there's only one curve which is a sad face and has y-intercept that looks like positive 2, and that's the second one. So that means this is going to be x square, y equals to 2 minus x squared. So there you go. Now for the third one, this had it been y equals to x cubed, so y equals to x cubed would have been something like this. But because this is slightly below the origin, that means the y-intercept has to be negative. So which curve over here, what kind of a curve over here do we have that has y-intercept as negative? It's this one. So y is equals to x cubed minus 2, and there you go. That's your answer. How do you know which one is x squared and which one is... Okay, so if we look at the coefficient of x squared, if the coefficient of x squared is positive, that means it's a happy face. If the coefficient of x squared is negative, that means it's a sad face. Okay, make a note of that. I'll write it down over here. So basically, if it's ax square, if a is positive, that means we're looking at a curve like this, and just like that, if a is negative, that means we're looking at a curve like this. Walaikum salam, Batul. Now here's part C. Let's see what part C says. Part C says A is the point and B is the point. इस सवाल पढ़ के आप लोगों को कुछ याद तो नहीं आ रहा? I hope good memories, not bad memories. सबसे हो गया था वाला सवाल परपेंडिकुलर वाला प्रूफ करने वाला. Yeah, it's coordinate geometry. Chilling good. So we have to find the equation of the line perpendicular to AB which passes through the midpoint. So technically it's perpendicular bisector. Okay. So let's start with the gradient. 3 minus minus 5 over 3 minus minus 1. So 3 minus minus 5 is 8. 3 minus minus 1 is 4. So 8 upon 4 क्या हो गया? 8 upon 4 2 हो गया. ठीक है. But what would be the gradient of the perpendicular line? So gradient of the perpendicular bisector is going to be minus 1 upon 2. Then we find out the midpoint, which is minus 1 plus 3 upon 2 and minus 5 plus 3 upon 2. Minus 1 plus 3 is 2, 2 upon 2, minus 5 plus 3 is minus 2, minus 2 upon 2. So that means 1 comma minus 1. So this is the point through which the line is going to pass. Okay, so now that we have enough information, we can form an equation. So after the gradient, we're standing at y equals to minus 1 upon 2x plus c. Then you replace y with minus 1 and x with 1. So now if you find out the value of c, which is minus 1 plus 1 upon 2. So what c is equals to? C is equals to minus 1 upon 2. And there you go. Y is equals to minus 1 upon 2x minus 1 upon 2. अब क्वेश्चन में क्योंकि किसी एक स्पेसिफिक तरीके से लिखने को नहीं कहा हुआ, so you just leave it over here. Minus 1 upon 2x minus 1 upon 2. If you want, you can cross multiply and write it as 2y equals to minus x plus 1, but नहीं कहा हुआ तो नहीं लिखो, ठीक है? Not at all necessary. Okay, now here's question number 7a part 1. You have a rectangular field and you have to calculate the perimeter. So this is a fairly easy question. Okay, so this is what a rectangular field looks like. Here's 30, here's 45. No, actually, that doesn't make sense. Although not that we'll lose marks, but you know, for our own satisfaction. So the perimeter is going to be twice of 45 plus 30. So 45 plus 30 is 75. 75 times 2 is 150. Then you have to calculate the length of the diagonal. Okay, so length of the diagonal, you can use Pythagoras theorem for that. So d square is equal to 45 squared plus 30 squared. So d is equals to what? Square root of 45 squared plus 30 squared. So 45 squared is 2025 plus 900. Calculator use kar lete hain. I don't think it's going to be a whole number. 45 square plus 30 square. And you have 54.08, so we'll lock it at 54.1. Okay. चलें अब ये सवाल करें. This is a question for you guys. Calculate the length of A. Figure out what it is that we have to use. Figure out the value of A. Yes, paper 1 was easy from what I've heard and seen. आप क्यों पूछ रहे हैं? आपने नहीं दिया पेपर 1? Okay, cosine rule. That's a good start. Give me the final answer as well. Yes, today inshallah I'll be doing an AdMaths live stream as well. We'll be doing logs. Right after this stream ends. Plan is to do it by 6. 107.78. Are you sure about that? That doesn't make sense. How can it be 107.78 when this is 11? So how can this be 107.78? Yeah, that's correct. 5.526. Good job. 5.53 is what we'll round it off to. Okay, so the reason why we're using cos rule over here is because we have all three lengths and we have an angle. Technically, we don't have all three lengths. We have one length, okay, but the other two lengths, we have them in terms of the same unknown, and we have one angle. So that's why we're using cos rule. So this is how cos rule is going to work over here. A plus 4, the whole thing square, will be equal to a square plus 11 square minus 2 into a into 11 into cos 60. Okay, so let's expand a plus 4 whole square. Please don't forget to use the identity. Don't think because this is cosine rule, so we don't have to use the identity over here. You have to use the identity the second you see anything that looks like a plus b, the whole thing square. So a square plus 8a plus 16 equals to a square plus 121. Now cos 60 is equals to half. Okay, math students would know that cos 60 is equals to half. Well, math students can also figure it out using a calculator. Okay, so this 2 and this 2 gets cancelled out, so that means now we have minus 11a. So a square and a square gets cancelled out because we have a square on both sides. 8a, let's take the 11a over to the left hand side as well, and on the right hand side we have 121 minus 16. So 121 minus 16 is 105. So 19a is equals to 105. So a is equals to 105 upon 19. Let's see, what is that equal to? 105 divided by 19. So that's equal to 5.526. So we'll lock it at 5.53. वैसे तो even if you leave it as 105 is upon 19, that's perfectly alright. 5.52. It's 5.526, which then becomes 5.53. Okay. Now here's part C. There is a stream of AdMath scheduled right after this one. We're doing logs. Okay. Now part C says the diagram shows a sketch of quadrilateral ABCD. All lengths are given in centimeters. The area of the quadrilateral ABCD is 70. Calculate DAB. Okay, so DAB is this entire angle. Alright, this is interesting. How many marks is this? 6 marks. Okay, banta bhi hai 6 marks. Okay, so first of all, if we want to be able to calculate the area of, if we want to be able to calculate the angle DAB, so that means we can't use any formula or any method where we are able to find out the value of this angle directly. Okay, there's no way we can do that. Okay, so we'll have to break it down. So first we'll find out this angle. Now we have enough information to find out this angle. Let me mark this in green. So this is the adjacent length, this is the opposite length. So we can use tan. So tan of, let's call this A. So tan A is equals to opposite, which is 10, upon adjacent, which is 8. So let's see, what do we get? So we have tan inverse of 10 divided by 8. So what's that equal to? Acha, my calculator is in radian mode. So math students, make sure that your calculator is not in radian mode. So tan inverse of 10 divided by 8. So A is equals to 51.3 degrees. So there you go, 51 point. Okay, since it's not the final answer, yeah, it's a good idea to write 2 decimal places, 51.34. Okay. Now let's talk about part B. So part B, I mean not part B, but let's talk about angle B. So I'm calling this angle B. Okay. Now, the thing is, there's no formula that I can use to calculate this angle. So here's what I'll have to do. I'll have to find out the area of this triangle. Okay, area of triangle BAC or CAB or whatever you want to call it. अब ये कैसे निकालें? Notice के question ने आपको पूरे quadrilateral का area दिया हुआ है. So if from the quadrilateral we can subtract the area of triangle ACD, we will have the area of triangle ABC. So how can we find out the area of triangle ACD? Well, that we can do very easily. Half into base into height. So half into 10 into 8. So 10 into 8 is 80. 80 divided by 2 is 40. So that's 40. Now 70 minus 40 कर लेते हैं, so that's equal to 30. So that means the area of this triangle is 30 centimeters square. Okay, now how does that help? Well, pay attention. That helps us in using this formula where you have two sides and an included angle. But here, since we don't have the angle, koi baat nahi. We're calling it B for now. But we have the area. So we're going to equate it to the area of the triangle, which is 30. Okay. Now, if you equate it to 30, let's see what happens. Cross multiply karenge, 30 into 2 is 60, 8 into 9 is 72, so divide by 72. So this is what we're looking at. We're looking at sine B to be equal to 5 upon 6. Then in order to find out angle B, we take sine inverse of the answer. So that's 56.44. Now, to calculate the entire angle, angle DAB, here's what we're going to do. 51.34 plus 56.44. Okay. Now if you add the two, let's see what happens. 56.44 plus 51.34. So 107.78 is what we end up with. 107.78, which then becomes 107.8 degrees. Any angle, remember, you have to give it correct to one decimal place. So a good 6-mark question. You will find 6-mark questions to be very rare in paper 2. 4 or 5 hota hai, but 6 is very rare. Okay, you don't have to use radian mode in math. Okay. I am doing an AdMath stream shortly at 6 p.m. I'm streaming logs. Okay. Okay, let's move on. Question number 8. F of minus 2. Fairly easy. Just plug in minus 2 in place of x. 3 into minus 2 minus 5. So minus 6 minus 5. What is that equal to? That's equal to minus 11. Then it says find the largest integer satisfying f of x is greater than 3 times of g of x. Okay. So f of x, that means 3x minus 5, is greater than 3 times of g of x, which means 4x plus 4 upon 3. Now thankfully this 3 and this 3 gets cancelled out, and now we have 3x minus 5, which is greater than 4x plus 4. Let's take 4x to the other side, so that's minus x, which is greater than 4 plus 5, which is equal to 9 if we take the 5 over to this side. So what does this mean? If minus x is greater than 9, that means x is less than minus 9. So lesser than minus 9 and also the largest integer. What is that going to be? What will be the largest integer lesser than minus 9? So while you guys answer that, I'm going to do part C, which says f of x 3x minus 5. अब ये g of 3x minus 5 कैसे निकालेंगे, ये देख लें ज़रा. g of 3x minus 5 ऐसे निकलेगा कि हम फंक्शन g में x की जगह 3x minus 5 प्लग इन करेंगे. ठीक है. So 4x plus 4 upon 3, in that expression in place of x we plugged in 3x minus 5. Okay, now it's a matter of cross multiplying. So 9x minus 15, which is equal to 12x minus 20 plus 4. Okay, now if you cross multiply, in fact cross multiply to kar liya, but this becomes minus 3x, which is equal to, let's see, minus 20 plus 4 plus 15. So that's minus 1. So minus minus gets cancelled out, and x is equals to 1 upon 3. Now let me see what you guys are saying. Minus 8, are you sure about that? Are you sure that it's going to be minus 8? I think in the simple interest question you had to find out the interest earned, not the total. And yeah, minus 10 is the correct answer. Good job, Abdurrahman. Now here's part D. Part D says g inverse of x equals to 5. Okay. Now notice that it's a 1-mark question. Why do you think it's a 1-mark question, and what do you think would be an easier way? Should we go through the pain of finding out the inverse, or you think there's an easier way of solving this? Here's g of x, huh? Minus 8 nahi hoga, minus 10 hoga, because less than minus 9. So what? Less than minus 9 would be minus 10, minus 11, so on and so forth. But smallest value which is largest value which is less than -9 is going to be -10. ठीक है? Upon 3y, what do you mean upon 3y? Because it's 3x equals to 1, so x equals to 1 upon 3. Okay, anyone who'd like to answer this? So जल्दी करा दें क्वेश्चन नमाज पढ़नी है नमाज पढ़ा भी टाइम है नहीं Okay, so the way to solve this question is that since it's g inverse of x equals to 5, you don't really have to find out the inverse, okay? You can just take g inverse over to the other side. So in that case, x would be equal to g of 5, okay? So inverse निकालने की ख्वारी से आप बच जाएंगे आपने सीधा सीधा क्या करना है to find out the value of x, just plug in 5 in function g. So 4 into 5 plus 4 upon 3. So 4 into 5 is 20, 20 plus 4 is 24, 24 divided by 3 is 8. So there you go, 8 is the correct answer. And that's it, that's your answer. Okay, now question number 9. Question 9 फिर I think we have 10, 11, 12 and that's it. ठीक है खैर. So let's do question number 9. So question number 9, we have to find out, in fact, we're given a cone, we have to find out the volume. No, in fact, we're given the formula for volume, we're given the formula for curved surface area. It says the cone has radius 6 centimeter and slant height L centimeter. The total surface area of the cone is 84 pi centimeter square. Show that L is equals to 8. Okay, now, so you're given the total surface area, right? How do you calculate the total surface area of a cone? It's pi r square plus pi r L, and that gives you the total surface area. So pi r square basically means pi into 6 square. Pi r L basically means pi into 6 into L, which is equal to what? Which is equal to 84 pi. So this is going to be 36 pi plus pi r L, which is equal to 84 pi. Now let's take 36 across. 84 minus 36, so that's equal to 48. So pi, I forgot to plug in 6 in place of r. So pi into 6 into L is equals to 48 pi. So pi and pi gets cancelled out. 6L is equals to 48. So that means L is equals to 8. And there you go. That's your answer. Okay, now do part B. Part B says calculate the volume of the cone. Okay, so how will I calculate the volume of the cone over here? We have all that we need. Do we have all that we need? Okay, no, we don't. So we have the slant height, but we don't have the actual height. Can we find out the actual height? Yeah, we can. 6 square plus h square is equals to 8 square. So h square is equals to 48 minus 36. What's that? 48 minus 36. So that's 12. So that means h is equals to root 12. अब इसको root 12 की terms में रहने देते हैं बाद में इसको convert कर लेंगे. So volume of a cone, as you can see, the formula is given pi r square h. So 1 upon 3 into pi into 6 square into under root 12. So let's figure this out. So square root of 12 into 36 into pi divided by 3. So we're looking at 199. 199.42. So that will be equal to approximately 199. So there you go. That's your answer. इसका ये आंसर आ रहा है? Can anyone confirm? Oh, okay. Found the mistake. H is not under root 12. It's 64 minus 36, and 64 minus 36 is, wait a minute, let's find that out. 64 minus 36, so that's 2 under root 7. It's 28. Okay, now so into square root of 28. Okay, now let's figure it out. 1 divided by 3 into pi into 36 into root 28. Yep, that's correct. It's 199.48. So the correct answer, correct to 3 significant figures, is 199. There you go. Now 199.4, if you round it off correct to 3 significant figures, will be 199. Okay. Now here's part C. Part C says a similar cone has a total surface area of 47.25 pi. Find the radius of the cone. Okay. So the second you see similar, geometrically similar, or mathematically similar, remember to use this formula. V1 upon V2 is equals to L1 upon L2, the whole thing cubed. In this case, we're not going to use length. We're actually going to use the radius. Okay. So V1 upon V2, V1 हम ले लेते हैं, चलो इस कोन की वॉल्यूम ले लेते हैं V1, which is 47.25 pi, and let's take the volume of this cone, which is 199.48. Now here we're not going to take the rounded off value, we'll take the actual value. Okay. And then this is equal to what? This is equal to radius of this cone divided by the radius of the other cone. And what's the radius of our cone? That's 6 cube. Okay. So 47.25 pi divided by 199.48. And then let's take the cube root of this value. So here's what we're looking at. We're looking at r upon 6 to be equal to 0.906 something. And then if you cross multiply into 6, so we're looking at, wait a minute, just a second, 47.25 pi divided by 199.48. Okay. Then if you take the cube root of the answer, so we're looking at, just a second, oh okay, realized my mistake. It's basically area, not the volume. Why मैं कहूँ answer क्यों नहीं आ रहा? Okay, my bad. It's surface area. So let's change that. A1 upon A2 is equals to L1 upon L2, the whole thing square. Okay, I should have highlighted surface area from the beginning. Yep, 4.5 is correct. So basically 47.25 divided by 84 pi equals to r upon 6, the whole thing square. Okay. Now pi and pi gets cancelled out. 47.25 divided by 84. So that's 9 upon 16. And then if we take the square root, so we have r upon 6 to be equal to 3 upon 4. And now if you cross multiply 3 divided by 4 into 6, that gives us the correct answer, which is 4.5 centimeter. Okay, so my bad. Surface area lena tha, maine galti se volume le li. Okay, now let's move on. Question number 10. So question 10 says A, B, and C are points on the circumference of a circle center O. OBD is a straight line and angle ABD is equals to 130 degrees. Okay, find ACB, giving a reason for each step of your working. Okay, so you have to give a reason for each step of your working. How many marks is this? It's 3 marks. Okay, you're given space over here, so we're going to use that. So first of all, this angle would be what? This angle would be 50 degrees. So let's write this down. That angle ABO is equals to 180 minus 130, which is equal to 50 degrees. And what's the reason behind that? Just write straight line. Okay, that's it. Good enough. Then because you have 2 radii, so that means 2 lengths are going to be equal, and as a result 2 angles are going to be equal. So let's write this down, that angle ABO is equals to angle OAB. ABO is equal to angle OAB. Okay, and why is that? Because the AB is equals to, no, in fact OA equals to OB, which is equal to R. Okay, so that's also equal to 50 degrees. Then you can find out this angle. So what will this angle be equal to? This angle would be equal to 180 minus 50 into 2. Okay, so what's that equal to? That's equal to 80 degrees. Now what's the reason behind that? The reason behind that is because sum of interior angles. Okay, and then you get to the main angle that you have to find, which is angle ACB. Ab ye kitna hoga? Angle at the center is twice the angle at the circumference, so this is going to be 40 degrees. So angle ACB equals to 40 degrees, and then you can write that angle at the center is twice the angle at circumference. So here's your final answer, 40 degrees. Okay, now part B. Part B says P and Q are points on the circumference on a different circle. Center O, PR and QR are tangents. So let's highlight or underline tangents to the circle and P and Q respectively. That means कि जो angle बनेगा बीच में वो 90 degree होगा. Find PR. Okay, so the first thing you should do is we should divide this quadrilateral into two by making a line that passes through the center. So consequently, this angle would be half of 130. That means it's going to be 65. So PR then becomes the opposite length. The length that you have is the adjacent length. So you can use tan to figure this out. So tan 65 is equals to opposite upon adjacent. Cross multiply करें, answer आ जाएगा. Tan 65 into 8. So that's equal to PR is equals to 17.156. And when you're giving a final answer, it's going to be 17.2. Then it says calculate the percentage of quadrilateral OPRQ that is shaded. Okay, so basically we need to find out the area of shaded region. Now how do we find out the area of shaded region? Let's see. Let's clean this up. Let's take a screenshot of this. Okay, and how many marks is this? It's 4 marks. So let's write this here. Okay. So we're going to do what we did earlier. That is, we're going to use PR, which is 17.2. Okay, and let's find out the area of quadrilateral. Okay, area of OPRQ. कैसे निकालेंगे? We'll find out the area of triangle and multiply it by 2. So for that we will calculate the area of triangle, which would be half into 8 into 17.2, and we're going to times it by 2. Okay, so let's see what that is equal to. 8 into 17.2. So we're looking at 137.6. Then let's find out the area of shaded region. So how will we find out the area of shaded region? Theoretically, area of shaded region निकलेगा ऐसे कि area of OPRQ minus the area of sector. So how do I find out the area of quadrilateral? We've already done that, 137.6. All we have to do is find out the area of sector, which would be 130 upon 360 into pi into 8 square. ठीक है? So I'll do this in the calculator. 130 divided by 360 into pi into 8 square. So 137.6 minus the answer. So we get 64.99. Now 64.99 is basically the shaded area. We need to calculate what percentage is shaded. So we're going to do 64.99 divided by 137.6 multiplied by 100. And if you do this correctly, you will get 47.238, which when we give this answer correct to 3 significant figures, it's going to be 47.2. And there you go. That's your answer. Sir, what if you mess up at paper 1 and then good at paper 2? What will... So you have to do like really well in paper 2, which is possible. A lot of people do that. I've seen it happen in the past. So you can also do that. That if you do really well in paper 2, let's say you have a high B in paper 1 and you also have a high A in paper 2, then overall you can get in like a medium A. Okay, possible hai, but just make sure that you leave no stone unturned in paper 2. Okay, now here's probability. So it says here a bag contains 12 balls. There are X black balls in the bag and the other balls are white. 2 balls are taken at random from the bag without replacement. Complete the tree diagram. Okay, now So if we had x black out of 12, you can see that for the second one, the number of black has gone down and the total has also gone down. But for the number of white balls, it's going to be 12 over, it's going to be, no, wait a minute, it's going to be 12 minus x upon 11. Why 12 minus x upon 11? That's because the number of white balls were 12 minus x and now the total is 11. Just like that, let's find out the number of white balls if the first one turns out to be white. So in that case, it's going to be 12 minus x minus 1 upon 12, which I would prefer to write as 11 minus x because एक कम हो गई है, ठीक है, एक minus कर दिया हमने. And as far as the number of black balls are concerned, that's going to be x upon 11. Why x? Because it's going to remain unchanged. Why 11? Because the total will go down by 1. Then it says find an expression for the probability of taking one ball of each color. Write your answer as a single fraction in terms of x. Okay, one ball of each color. So that means it could be black and white, or it could be white and black. So let's find out the probability of black and white. So that means x upon 12 into 12 minus x upon 11. So that's going to be 12x minus x square upon 121. Okay. Then plus white into black. So that means 12 minus x upon 12 into x upon 11. Now, this isn't any different from the previous one. Also, by the way, 121 into 11 will be 132, not 121. So 12x minus x square upon 132 plus 12x minus x square upon 132. Now, we don't have to simplify it or anything. The question doesn't say that. So this is what you get. You get 24x minus 2x square upon 132. Make sure to read the question carefully. The question hasn't mentioned anything where that you're supposed to simplify. Yes, you are supposed to give your answer as a single fraction, but it doesn't say that you have to simplify. So if you do it, that's great. If you don't do it, that's still perfectly all right. Okay, it's not like you're going to lose marks or anything. Okay, now part C. The probability that both balls are black is 14 upon 33. Okay, so both balls are black means black into black, which means x upon 12 into x minus 1 upon 11. So let's write that down. X upon 12 into x minus 1 upon 11. And this is equal to 14 upon 33. Okay. Now, if we solve this, we are supposed to form an equation and then find out the number of black balls in the bag. Okay, so 12 into 121 is going to be 132. And we have x square minus x, which is equal to 14 upon 33. Now, here's my advice, and that is you simplify 132 and 33. So 33 ones are and 33 fours are. Okay, that'll make life easy. Now you can cross multiply. So x square minus x is equals to 14 into 4, which is going to be 56. Now you get everything over to the left hand side. You can use the quadratic formula, but I would advise against it. I would say just use the middle term breaking method. 7 minus 8 are the two factors that you're looking for. And then if you solve it further, you have x equals to 8 or x equals to minus 7. Now, obviously, we're not going to go with minus 7. We're going to go with 8. But don't get carried away and say 8 is the final answer. The question is asking us to find out the number of black balls, which is x. So the answer is, in fact, 8. Okay. So, but sometimes the question can trick you, and at the end, it might ask you something which you will get using the value of x that you just found. Okay. Now, we have vectors. So, vectors you can expect to come in paper 2 because it wasn't tested in paper 1. I say, there was no vectors in paper 1. Okay, so let's find out AB, which is going to be OB minus OA. So, OB means 3 and minus 5. OA means 2 and 3. So 3 minus 2 is 1, and minus 5 minus 3 is minus 8. So there you go. That's your answer. Then it says you're given BC and you have to find out the coordinates of C. So BC can be formed by doing OC minus OB. OC minus OB gives you BC. Now finding the coordinates of C basically means in vector terms finding out vector OC. So OC then becomes BC plus OB. Okay. So BC का मतलब है minus 4, 3. OB का मतलब है 3 and minus 5. Now if you add the two, 3 and minus 4 gives you minus 1. And 3 plus minus 5 gives you minus 2. So there you go. Then it says AD. So ये basically length आपको दे रहा है. ठीक है ना? What were the coordinates of A? The coordinates of A were 2, 3. Okay. Now finding out the length of AD basically means this, that we're going to use the distance formula. So 2 minus minus 3, the whole thing square, plus 3 minus n, the whole thing square, equals to what? Equals to square root of 74. Now because you have square root on both sides, you can simply square both sides and get rid of the square root. So these two cancel out each other. 2 minus minus 3 is 5, square of which will be 25. So 25, और इसको भी हाथ के हाथ खोल लेते हैं. So 9 minus 6n, don't forget to use the identity, plus n square equals to 74, which means n square minus 6n, 25 plus 9 is 34. 34 minus 74 is equal to 40. Minus 40 equals to 0. So factors of 40 that minus 40 that leave you with minus 6. So that's going to be minus 10 and 4. Minus 10n plus 4n minus 40 equals to 0. N into n minus 10 plus 4 into n minus 10. So we have the two values of n. One of them is going to be 10 and the other is minus 4. Now the question says find the possible values, so we have to find all of them. Okay. Now the last part of the last question. Okay. Sir, have you posted all math syllabus? What does that mean? What's that supposed to mean? Okay, so it says OQRP is a parallelogram. Okay, so parallelogram, very important. OP is equals to P. Okay, and OQ is equals to Q. Now, looking at this, you might think that it's KQ that's equal to Q, but read the question. It says OQ is equals to Q. Okay. K is the midpoint of OQ. So just by reading the question up until here, I'm going to write this down, that OK is equals to KQ, which is equal to half Q. Okay. Then it says K is the midpoint of OQ and L is a point PR. Okay, so K is the midpoint on OQ and L is a point on PR. So you're given KL, which is P minus 1 upon 10Q. So you can make a line if you want. If you don't want to do it, that's also perfectly all right. So KL, according to the question, is P minus 1 upon 10Q. Okay. Then it says find PL is to LR. So let's find out PL. Now how can we go from P to L? So we can go from P to O, then from O to K, then from K to L. So let's write that down. PO, OK plus KL. So P से O जाने के लिए minus P. From O to K, what we're going to do is we're going to do half Q. And then from K to L, that's going to be P minus 1 upon 10Q. Alright, now minus P plus P cancel out each other. Half minus 1 upon 10. So that we can do using our calculator. So half minus 1 upon 10 gives us PL, which is equal to what? Which is equal to 2 upon 5Q. ठीक है, अभी इसको यहीं पे रख देते हैं. We'll come back to it. Then let's talk about LR. So how can we go from L to R? We can go from L to K, then from K to Q, and then from Q to R. Now QR will be P, and KQ we already have. So let's write this down. LR can be obtained by going from L to K, then going from K to Q, then going from Q to R. Okay. Now ab LK के लिए don't forget to reverse the sign. So minus P plus 1 upon 10Q. And then for KQ we'll have half Q, and then for QR we'll have positive P. So this gets cancelled out, and LR turns out to be 1 upon 2 plus 1 upon 10. So 1 upon 2 plus 1 upon 10, so that's equal to 3 upon 5Q. Because we have to give them in ratio form, so let's write this down. 2 upon 5Q is to 3 upon 5Q. Remember, that's what the question said. PL is to LR, so that's what we're doing. PL is to LR. Okay, so Q and Q gets cancelled out, 5 and 5 gets cancelled out, and our final answer is 2:3. And there you go. That's your answer, and also the end of the paper. Yep, it's the end. Okay, so thoughts about this paper? Easy, medium, difficult, insanely difficult, impossible? Bye. Okay. Ouch. Sir, in the upcoming days I heard... Okay, I don't want to comment on that. But let's hope things gradually start returning back to normal. So I'll stop here. I'll see you guys tomorrow, hopefully. Tomorrow I'm doing another stream. And what should I solve tomorrow? Maybe October, November. October, November, same year. Okay, October, November 2021, paper 2, variant 2. So that's it. Take care, everyone. Allah Hafiz.